Hello, everybody, and welcome to Pep Talks on YouTube. It is Pep Talks with Eddie Pepitone and my co-host, Steve Lally. Steve, say hello.
Hey, everybody. It's 190 degrees in the valley today. Wherever you're at, I hope you're doing better than the people in China.
We have had a heat wave here in the valley. Steve luckily lives on the west side. Now, LA is a weird place in the sense that, and hello, everybody. I'm glad you're here with us. We're just going to get right into it. We have a lot of ground to cover today. As you know, our civilization is coming to an end. This is not conspiracy theory nonsense. This is just what's going on economically, ecologically, spiritually. There's a decay in our society. There's a decay in our ecosystem. There's an extinction of species happening every day. There's out of control biblical greed, whether New Testament or Old Testament. And this is not conspiracy nonsense. You know, this is just what we're going through. And I would say grab a latte.
Yeah.
Soy, coconut milk, or almond milk. Not the regular dairy, but in LA, it's weird because we had a heat wave Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Today it's gotten better, but Sunday, Monday, Tuesday was so nasty in the valley where I live. And I'm not telling you people where I live, okay? Because so many people want to know where I live, and it's not happening.
I know where. I'm not going to tell you either.
Unless
don't try to bother me about it.
You give Steve money. Money's a big issue for a lot of people. Steve, you went to a Bernie Sanders rally. Why don't you talk about that in Pasadena? When was it?
You know, it was 2 weeks ago. He was in Pasadena, or a week and a half ago. I'm just blurry on dates. And I went with my friend Sunil. It was Friday at noon, middle of the day on Friday. And
wow,
3,000 people were there. I mean, it was a lot of fucking people. And all I could hear was the conservatives going, "Oh, yeah, because none of them are working." You know,
that's great.
And I could hear that in the back.
They're real. That's a real.
that's the middle of America, though.
That's an educated thing to say.
But I could see, like, the pensiveness on people's faces. People are afraid, man.
Pensiveness, or anxiety.
Anxiety.
What?
Anxiety.
An anxious pensiveness.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, So what were you talking about? Yeah. Tell the crowd, tell the audience here on YouTube and SoundCloud what you were seeing in people's.
It wasn't like a joyous celebration. It wasn't like all these people coming together in this sense of joyousness and camaraderie. Or not that a political rally is supposed to be like that. I haven't been to too many of them, to be fair. But you could tell people were nervous. You know, people were nervous, and I was looking around at people. Just, you know, this is just my intuition, but people are broke. They're really fucking broke, and
over half the country is poor. Over half of Americans are poor. Are just poor. Over half the country can't get $400 together in an emergency.
So this is what this group of 3,000 people were.
Well, you were talking about this with me coming up here, and then people, you were sensing the palpable fucking desperation.
Desperation, yeah.
People are working all kinds of odd jobs. You know, unions have been killed in this country. You know, unless you're specific to a certain field and have gone to certain schools, it's hard to make ends meet.
I got the feeling that
and rents keep going up. Now that's another thing, because I just want to say that New York passed a rent control law. I haven't studied it, but it looks like it's a good law, and you know, here in LA, we really need that and around the fucking country, because rents do not keep pace with wages. Wages have been stagnant since the early 80s or late 70s, is my understanding, while rents keep going up and up and up. And these motherfucking landlords claim, well, they got to go. Like, they claim poverty all the time. Like, oh, if we don't have the rents going up, then we're not going to be able to.
I can't pay my mortgage.
I can't do my bill. I can't do any infrastructure or whatever bullshit. Right? What were you going to say?
If the rents were to go down, it would cause major it would solve major poverty problems in this country.
Well,
rents and mortgages, but you'd have to regulate the banks. You'd have to go after the banks in order to really do that, right? Let's talk. Maybe we can figure this out between the two of us.
What do you mean go after the?
Well, the banks own the mortgages, right? I mean, a mortgage is with a bank, so the people who own the property they're paying a mortgage. They're paying, and so they're raising the rents based on the mortgages. Right?
I think they're raising the rents out of greed. I think they're raising the rents out of profit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think these landlords are crying poverty, right? But I don't think they're in poverty at all.
No, they're not in poverty. They're comfortable. But the people who own the land, they're paying. Their greed is what's fueling. They're the engine. So the engine is, if you really, really want to.
Well, I'm with Chase Bank and the Federal Credit Union, the SAG Federal Credit Union, and Chase puts out cookies on Friday. So, you go after Chase, but these cookies.
Do they have cream in the middle? Are they cream-filled
I'm
cookies?
vegan, so I can't eat them, but. And also, and they're so nice, all the tellers.
It's clean there at Chase,
all the
isn't
tellers, I don't know if they call them tellers anymore, bank personnel. All the bank personnel is always they're very sweet and nice to me. So it's hard when corporations have that friendly face and they're peopled by, average people. It's hard to go, I'm going to burn.
Not me, man. I almost got into it with a teller at Bank of America some years ago.
Some years ago, though. It sounds like you've been placated for about 11 years now.
No, I left them.
Oh, okay.
I left and went to a credit union.
I also left
But you're still with Chase Bank. What's up?
I left Wells Fargo, and the only reason I opened an account with Chase is because I was working overseas, doing comedy festivals in Scotland or UK, whatever, and the Federal Credit Union with SAG couldn't take wires from overseas. And I was like, well, I was pissed at that. I was like, I didn't want to go back to the big banks.
Right.
So I had to open an account.
So there's a law that prohibited the credit unions from doing
I don't know what.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. So the laws can change, But those fucking banks, man.
Well, yeah.
Check this out. How many people voted for Obama? Like 60 million people or something like that, crazy amount of people. If half those people left Bank of America and Chase and Wells Fargo, the banks would have to break apart. So if all the people who claim to be liberals went out and just took their fucking money out of the fucking bank, this is where I get angry.
Well, there should be public banks, right? What's your understanding of public banks, like publicly owned banks? Do you know that's an alternative? That I'm sure the banking industry, their lobby, which is huge.
Right, but that's what Sanders is talking about, doing your banking with the post office. You could do your banking with the post office.
Did he talk about that?
Yeah, he talked about that in 2016.
How do you do that?
I
don't like the post office either. No, they suck, but...
Yeah, but it would be free.
No, I want to fuck. Yeah, I want to fuck the bank.
It would cause.
Does the post office take wires from overseas?
I don't know, Eddie.
I just see myself at Christmas, in line, right, to get my wire from overseas because I've switched to the post office system of a checking account. And we just got a new subscriber. The name is Drug Stabbing Time. Look, we're not picky here.
We take anybody.
We're not picky. So go ahead. Or did I start? I was. I don't know where I am.
You were dressed in a Santa Claus outfit at the post office, waiting for your wire transfer.
And I could just see being online on Christmas, and the lines in Christmas post office. It's just insane.
Yeah. Are you waiting?
I lose my shit on long lines. Like I don't like when there's a long.
Do you speak up? Do you start just yelling?
I do that passive aggressive thing of like, Jesus Christ, fuck. I've gotten better though since my antidepressants. That'd be a funny testimonial for antidepressants. Like since my I'm Eddie Pepitone, and since I've been on
Lipitor.
Since I've been on Lipitor is for cholesterol.
Oh,
since I've been on antidepressants, I haven't been passively aggressively muttering to myself when I'm on a long line. When I'm on a long line, I haven't been passively aggressively muttering to myself. By the way, with these shades, I was thinking of all the idiots who do those poker shows, and they're just like they have their cards, but because they have sunglasses on, they think they're unreadable. Like,
yeah,
you don't know what their hand is because they have their.
But here's
fucking
but those sunglasses, I could see your eyes perfectly, so this is not,
these wouldn't work
not at all. What you look like with the sunglasses and the hat and the shirt, and we haven't gotten in the pants, but
the pants,
with just what we're looking
see.
At right here, you look like a psychedelic trucker.
Hey, 10-4, good buddy. By the way, good buddy, did you know we're just a collection of molecules? Yep. We're just you know that ham sandwich I told you to eat yesterday? That baby is just far fucking out.
It's filled with ayahuasca.
It's filled with ayahuasca. What you delivering, Mac? Ayahuasca. Imagine a truck driver who delivers ayahuasca, and he's the most enlightened. Yeah, Bob, I got a delivery for you, but I got to tell you, nothing is
what it's
important except silence. Anyway, just unload it. Nothing is important except silence. This is the truck driver who delivers nothing but ayahuasca. Hey, Frank, I got the ayahuasca. Okay, Bob. Did you have any problems getting there? No, I just realized, though, that nothing matters except silence. But yeah, and LA has incredible rents, and we need to fucking put a cap on that. And these greedy landlords and the banks are part of it. You know, just too many people are, like you said, you went to the Sanders rally and you're sensing this palpable desperation, and it's going to break out. It's going to break out. I don't want violence, you know. I wish we could get together. We were talking about this too, that it's hard to unify people because everyone's caught up amusing themselves to death, or they're caught up in electronic hallucinations, and I'm part of it. I admit it. You know, I watch, you know, TV shows. Even though when I watch television shows now on my iPad, or, you know, movies, there are times when I feel like I have a voice in my head going, you need to be doing something more valuable with your life. Like, that's the voice. Like, don't just be a voyeur. You know, the culture turns us into voyeurs instead of...
But what about when you're watching Breaking Bad or something that's really transformative?
Well, sometimes I'll lose myself. But lately, when I've been watching stuff...
I think it's a sign that the things you're watching aren't really that entertaining. That you're watching shit that's really not that good, Eddie.
You're defeating my point right now.
It's good!
But you know what I mean. Like, you're kidding around, I hope. We're amusing ourselves to death.
Yes.
And people want a distraction. They don't want to face the reality.
Okay, but what if we had art and real incredible shit to watch that was like the 60s and 70s? What if we had this great commentary that's sophisticated people were...
We do have podcasts now that are, you know, people are flocking to podcasts. Not this one, but people are flocking to podcasts because they want long conversations. They don't want sound bites. They want to connect. They feel connected, you know, to podcasts. They feel connected. Not this one, but other podcasts.
Maybe it's because ours isn't 4 or 5 hours. Maybe we need longer, you know, because the ones with the big ratings get the...
No, people connect with our podcast. I'm kidding. You know, we just don't have like a lot of people because we're all over the... I think the problem with our... by the way, if you have any ideas, seriously, if you have any ideas what me and Steve should do to like kind of broaden the popularity of this, let us know, because we're clueless. But I think it has to do with the fact that we're all over the place, that we kind of talk about deep issues, like deep societal issues, the fact that, you know, we're in endless wars, you know, there's, you know, trillions upon trillions being spent on war while people, You went to the Sanders rally. There's a palpable sense of desperation. There's homelessness all over the country.
Oh, it's crazy.
And I think because we talk about issues like this, people are like, this is not a distraction. This is more of an immersion into the shit I want to get away from.
Huh.
I think a little bit, because people get into murder podcasts, and somehow that's diverting.
That's an escape for psychotic people.
Dude, there must be a lot of psychotic people then, because people are flocking to, they like the dark side. Me and you kind of, we have darkness, particularly you, but I think we talk about stuff,
No, my friend Sunil, who's a vegan, sympathizing, he's fascinated by macabre shit like that, Black Dahlia, and
I think people want to escape. It's a way to escape. It's almost it's on the borderline. Murder obsession, I think, is on the borderline with conspiracy obsession. Like conspiracy theorists and people who love to talk, murder podcasts are very close, because they both tickle the same place in the id. When you're into conspiracy stuff, you're like, oh, wow, that's how, things are being controlled, and whoa, wow. And then murder is like, oh, my God, like it takes them out of their mundaneness. I've always contended that people who are really into conspiracy have had their backs broken in the later stages of capitalism by the horrific working conditions, tedium, lack of money,
But the murder podcast people,
yes,
the murder people who are attracted to like gruesome. I mean, I'm talking about serial killing, shit like that.
Ted Bundy. I mean, Ted Bundy, if he had a podcast today, he'd be
very popular.
He would be.
Yeah.
By the way, what about the phenomenon of women who want to sleep with Ted Bundy? You know what I mean? Like when he would, or serial killers in jail. There are women who want to hang with these guys. And I guess it's the bad boy thing.
I hadn't thought about it.
Well. All right, we have some ads today written by our producer, Matt Rasamoto. It's Moto, Ratmasaroto.
Ratmasaroto.
And our first, it's a new sponsor. We haven't gotten paid. By the way, thank you, Dara, for a $50 donation.
Thank you, Dara. Wow.
Yes, I owe you $25.
That's beautiful.
Do we have to cut Matt in on this shit? I don't know. Anyway, I guess if we start making real money, we will. But, anyway, so this first one, we haven't gotten any money from our advertisers yet. I hope Matt's on this, even though he writes him. But our first company, it's a new one, Chemco Breakfast Pills. And here we are, Chemco Breakfast Pills. If you are like most Americans, most mornings you don't have time for a healthy breakfast. When that alarm goes off, it's all grab your hat, pick up that briefcase, and off to the factory. But oh no time for grub. Your friends at Chemco have come to help. Chemco scientists have developed breakfast in a pill. That's right, a full continental breakfast in one easy-to-ingest suppository. You'll be amazed by the variety and sheer quantity. You wrote sear quantity. You'll be amazed by the variety and sheer quantity of flavors you will burp up on your commute, all from a butt pill about the size of a dog's paw. Delicious sausage and eggs, blueberry muffins, maple-drenched bacon, garlic butter potatoes topped with cream and chives, all bubbling from deep in your colon all morning long as the suppository reacts to your intestinal juices and gives you that just ate feeling by dissolving into a thick, expanding foam. And for a quick midday pickup, try a coffee suppository served ice cold or microwave for 8 seconds if you like it piping hot. With Chemco coffee in your rectum, you are ready for anything. Cream and sugar inserted separately. Chemco breakfast butt pills. Start the day running. Now that is good. That is good funny. To just have a pill that you can put in your ass and call it a day.
brilliant stuff this guy thinks of, man.
Well,
really.
no, I mean,
we should really cut
this company is very good.
Yeah, we should really cut him in on the...
We'll think about it. I mean, we're not making very much money yet.
But if
we need to make money, folks. The people we're talking about, by the way, the people that we sense this palpable desperation, that's me to an extent. Is it you to an extent?
Oh, yeah.
And also, we were talking about the fact that a lot of people just completely hide their desperation.
That was the thing.
Well, Oscar, who was it who said most men live in quiet desperation? Well, that's very true in the United States right now. People have too much pride. You know, their ego.
Pretending to be okay. And by
until
the way,
they snap.
we lived through a Great Depression, so what was happening was nobody had any money, and people ended up, large families ended up living together in small homes. Right?
That's happening now.
It's really gonna happen, and a lot of people don't want to admit they're on food stamps. There's a lot of people who you would be surprised, are on, who are working full-time jobs, who are on food stamps because they can't make enough.
Right. Well, that's because employers don't pay enough.
Right.
I mean, Walmart is legendary for that, where when you get hired at Walmart, I believe they immediately tell you how to get public assistance.
Really?
That's true. I didn't you can't make that shit up.
I thought you did.
I did not.
By the way, Walmart is going to raise their minimum wage that they pay their guys now to $15 an hour.
Are they?
Well, yeah. Bernie Sanders did something with them. I don't know. Something I read in the news.
We have phone calls every week, folks. If you want to call in, you can. And our call, let me give you the call. The number, if you want to call in and leave a message, we've got some good calls this week, is 424-262-0904. So if you want to call in, leave the podcast a message, 424-262-0904. We got a bunch of calls this week. Let's go to this first one. Here it is. Tell me if we've played this already.
Hi, Steve calling from Toronto. I have a questionnaire for Eddie and Steve to fill out. It's a 4-part questionnaire. The first question, are you weird? Yes, no?
Yes.
Second question, how many ideas do you have? 1 to 2, 3 to 5, 6 to 8, 9 to 10. So you check off any of those boxes that are relevant. Third question, how often do you have ideas? Often, sometimes, rarely, never. Click the appropriate box. The fourth question, why do we suffer? Emptiness, love, don't know. Click the appropriate box. Thanks.
Thanks.
That's great.
Well, that was great. I think Steve is, he's just pointing out the absurdity of these fucking ridiculous questionnaires that, like, I you know what I think he went to, when I was getting my antidepressants, my Zoloft.
Oh, they asked you questions?
They have questionnaires like on a scale, like that kind of stuff. I mean, he really made it funny by saying, how many ideas do you have? 1 to 5, 6 to 10, 15 to 20. But they're like, how anxious do you feel on a scale of 1 to 5? And, 3 being pretty anxious, 4 being very anxious, 5 being, you're masturbating in public.
It would just be funny if you went in there and just answered 5 on all of it, man. Like, just to fucking see what they do.
Well, you don't want to, when you're with a psychiatrist, you don't want to come off too crazy, or they lock you up.
Right.
If they deem you to be of danger to yourself or others, they lock you up.
It is also known you can pretend to be crazy and keep yourself out of prison and end up in a funny farm.
Is that true?
Well, remember Cuckoo's Nest, the famous scene where he's trying to tell the doctors he's crazy.
But they've shut down all these institutions.
That's right.
They've shut down, mental health. No one's got money for mental health. That's another thing. We have money for all these wars, for this military-industrial prison complex that we live in,
I don't know if I'd trust the establishment with mental. I'm very suspicious of the establishment, man. I don't know if they would just find a way to do something really corrupt and terrible with mental health. That's cynical, but it's kind of how I feel.
Well, that's what they've done. All right, let's go to another call. Okay, here we go. Oh, I don't know what's wrong with this anymore. Here we go.
Hey, Eddie and Steve. I don't know if you'll play this because I'm really just calling because I was just walking home, and in the front yard of this house there is a payphone. It's sticking up out of the yard right by the sidewalk, and it's in like a small wood enclosure that looks like it would be a birdhouse potentially or something like that, unfinished wood, And it's a payphone, and it's futile. No coin needed for any calls. And I'm calling you from it right now, so it's real. You can see the line running up to the house here. So someone who lives here just put this payphone here that is free. So I guess it's not a payphone. It's just a phone, but it looks like a payphone. And I took a picture of it, which I will email to you so you can see what I'm talking about. This is Ario, by the way. I'm in Portland. We've talked before. Multiple times. You'll probably remember me, but so anyway, I might call back and say something significant that would spark a conversation. But anyway, just thought this phone was amazing, so I decided to call you because I was listening to your podcast. Definitely don't play this on your podcast. Unsubscribe. All right. Anyway, thanks a lot. I'll send you the picture though. It's pretty cool. All right. Bye, guys.
Ario, yeah, I do remember Ario. Thank you, Ario. Ario sent me the picture. It was hilarious. Just this phone in like a payphone booth, even though, like he said, it doesn't cost any money, in front of a house.
It's not a
and
payphone.
It works.
Yeah, that's great.
And I remember Ario. Ario said that I should do a one-person show of Al and Margaret, the two voices that live in my head.
Oh, that was him that told you to do that.
Yeah, great guy. And that is wild, huh? And I believe he said people were lining up for the phone.
Wouldn't that be great if that was like a portal? Like you pick up the phone.
Like a Doctor Who type of thing?
Yeah, totally.
Have you ever watched Doctor Who?
In the beginning, in the 80s.
How was it?
It was great, but, You
didn't stick with it?
No. Because I didn't like that Doctor Who changed into a different person every season. I didn't like that. I liked the first Doctor Who.
Like if Burt Reynolds was Doctor Who, you would like it to be Burt Reynolds.
Well, if Burt Reynolds was Doctor Who,
that would be pretty hilarious.
If Burt Reynolds came back from the dead to play Doctor Who, I would watch it.
What about, but when he was alive, would you have watched Burt Reynolds as Doctor Who?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for the sheer weirdness of that. What about you? Are you a Doctor Who guy?
My wife is. I am not. I'm not that into Doctor Who. I don't find it that interesting, I just don't. It seems just silly to me, It's silly.
A big-time nerd thing, man, Doctor Who.
Yeah.
What about Star Trek? Are you a Star Trek guy?
No, but the movies
right.
with Chris Pine and
what about the early movies with Shatner?
No, I was never a William Shatner.
So you like the Pine and the newer?
J.J. Abrams, I think, reboot. That was good. They were good action movies. I was just like watching them going, God, this civilization may be crumbling, but this certainly is diverting. Wow. I've forgotten about the fact that my bank account is like a fucking nightmare. My bank account is that of a toddler's. If a toddler had a bank account.
They don't. You're vulnerable to subterfuge, Pepitone.
Let's play one more call for now. We still have more calls to go. Here's another call.
Hey, Eddie, it's Steve. My name is Rebecca, and I'm a professional cellist. And I used to live in Los Angeles, and I often played with the LA Opera and the Los Angeles Philharmonic, and now I play with the St. Paul Chamber Orchestra. And it's totally random, but the references you make to Los Angeles and life there ring very true. I grew up in Connecticut, and I struggle to feel connected very much in LA, just given the nature of things. But I love listening to you guys, and I hope everything's going really well with your summer, and that you have a great trip east. All right, take care. Bye-bye.
What a sweet woman. Thank you, Rebecca. My summer is it started off a little rough with the weather, but it's going okay. How about your summer so far? I mean, we're not even officially in summer, but I know what she means.
The weather scares me, but
I love that a cellist. We need more cellists to call.
As a cellist and someone who played with the L.A. Philharmonic, can you share with us if you have any wisdom? Eddie and I would like to get into being curators. We want to get into that world and that scene, and we want your wisdom if you can help us, because cellist.
Expand on the curator thing you're talking about, because I don't think people understand it.
I don't even know if I understand it.
Well,
I mean,
it's a very because you've pointed it out to me. It's hilarious when you've shown me, like you forwarded me an article in the New York Times of like people who curate things. You want to get in on that?
Well, or another one was a culture critic. Someone their job is a cult, and there was a publicity. So and so is the new culture critic for the. Yeah, I want to do that. I want to hang out with the people who go see the Barbara, what's her name? The Carly Simon concerts on Cape Cod, and
I wanna go review for a specific hip like zine Carly Simon concerts on Cape Cod. Yeah, boy, the Carly Simon concerts on Cape Cod or Nantucket, wherever she has them, Martha's Vineyard. That's the furthest thing from the America that we're talking about, the desperate America, the homeless America. By the way, I was watching on YouTube is a rabbit hole, right? And it has some great stuff on it. They're also fucking pricks because they demonetize people. They demonetize people who speak the truths about the war machine. Particularly the war machine, YouTube will demonetize. But that world of Carly Simon concerts.
But have you ever seen the YouTube videos of Carly Simon and Cape Cod?
No. Tell me.
It's incredibly seductive, dude.
Oh.
It's and I say this as a die in the wool, cut the man's throat and paint on the wall with his blood lefty. There's a part of me there's this Jewy part of me,
of course,
that wants to be part of that,
of course,
manicured,
of course,
sophisticated.
Everybody wants comfort. Everybody wants comfort and pleasure and to have an easy life. But when so much of the country is suffering, when so much, you can't, if you have any kind of fucking heart, any kind of social conscience, that Cape Cod scene. It's like the scene in Manhattan where and Woody Allen looks at the skeleton in the doctor's office and he goes, "Look, this guy was probably, look at him. He was probably one of the beautiful people. He was dancing and playing tennis, and now look at him. This is how we all end up." How would you compare the Carly Simon concert in Cape Cod and the Bernie Sanders rally? How would you compare them? You think Carly Simon would have shown up at the... No. Wouldn't it be funny if after Bernie comes on, Bernie goes, "And right now, we have a special guest. Please welcome Carly Simon." And she's like, "You're so vain." Like she's singing at Sanders. Yeah, that he's You probably think this song is about you. You're so vain. I bet you think this song is... Yeah. You know who introduced Sanders? Carly, thank you very much. Look, half of the 1% want you dead. The 1% is basically metaphorically has you in the trunk of their car and they're fucking you through the trunk. They're making you bury your own body in the desert. Gosh, that's the Bernie Sanders crowd as a juxtaposition to the Carly Simon crowd. Yeah. The Carly Simon people, the Bernie Sanders people are the Carly Simon people who never did, who never were. But you shouldn't feel bad. I mean, that's natural to want to be part of a Carly Simon Cape Cod concert. It's not that I'm sharing. This is a momentary thing. It's not a perpetual longing.
But there's, when I watch those videos, you have to go watch
I will.
Carly Simon. It's so beautiful. I mean, it's really like, there is beautiful.
Well, you know what I was watching on YouTube, which I meant to complete the thought, instead of Carly Simon videos on Cape Cod, I was watching a YouTube videos, various YouTube videos on homelessness in the United States. One of these videos was called Seattle is Dying. And of course, they didn't talk about the root causes of it. You know, it was an NBC video, but man, they showed people are embarrassed about the homelessness, but nobody talks about, I mean, they didn't really talk about the housing prices from what I saw in the video. You know, they didn't attack who needs to be attacked about the homeless problem. They basically were saying the cops aren't given enough authority to get the homeless
That's
off
the
the
NBC narrative, right? That's the biggest criminalization. You criminalize the poor.
Well, it's a crime. It really, literally is a crime, and I think that's why people feel desperate. Well, first of all, everybody sees all the homeless living on the street, and if you don't have a lot of money, one of your first thoughts is, that could be me.
Yeah.
And it's fucking terrifying, you know? And it's terrifying to a lot of people. And we talked, too, about how there's an atomization instead of a unification of society. Everybody, you know, is in their little fucking worlds with the internet, with electronic hallucinations, with
online dating. Not you.
Does that go?
Not you and I, but others.
You crack me up sometimes. Like, I'm on this riff,
you do
and
that,
then
you do
I
that
feel like
shit to me too, though. You do that shit to me.
I do?
Yeah, I'll get into something serious, and you're like, it's time for an ad.
Online dating kind of goes under the category of pornography, don't you think?
No, because there's no, you can't even get off to online dating. Have you ever tried to online date?
No, I've never. Thank God.
In my little experience with online dating, it's nothing like pornography. At least with pornography, you can get off at some point.
I think this is a good time for
an ad.
For an ad, and you're going to read this one,
Oh.
Steven. It is. Here it is. This is from a company called Mao's Dog Walking. MAO.
Can't wait.
Chairman Mao, I believe.
So excited. If you're like most Americans, most mornings you don't have time for a healthy breakfast. When that alarm goes off, it's all grab your hat, pick up that briefcase, and off to the factory. But oh no, no time for grub. Your friends at Chemco. Wait a minute. Is this the right one? That's the one we just read. Thank you, Eddie, for that. Chairman Mao. This is the Chairman Mao's Dog Walking Service.
Again, yeah.
Chairman Mao's Dog Walking Service is a new company we haven't had before, and we're honored to have them here. And Chairman Mao, please send us some money. Hit the donate button. Chairman Mao's Dog Walking Service has been providing quality dog walking and canine-friendly blends of anti-corporatist Marxism-Leninism since 1964. Dogs, more than any other domesticated animal, enjoy living in a socialist utopia and love learning about how walks are not only for smelling poop, but also an organ for the political advancement of the pack as well as the snuggle production. Jared W. of Mansplain, Texas says, thanks to Mao, my Schnauzer Buttons understands that treats are provided not as welfare, but as a reward of the system. Mao's Dog Walking Service knows that introducing new dogs is useful to avoid monopolization by old dogs, and pack members must dominate honestly, openness in discussing problems, and the ability to learn and multitask, which isn't easy when squirrels are around. Am I right? Cindy J. from Thumb, Iowa wrote, dogs can't talk, but our Chinese crested seems to say, I told you so. At no extra cost, dog washing can be part of the Maoist dog walking dialectical method, which is central to pack involvement. As such, dogs must not fear baths, but engage in them openly. Chairman Mao's Dog Walking Service. Once the leash is grasped, miracles are possible. Thank you, Mao, for your communist dog walking service.
And thank you, Matt Rasamoto, for writing these. And he He texted me saying that one should be done as an Instagram video. What did you think?
Yeah. That would be a great... Did he really say that?
Yes, he texted me.
Yeah, that would be a funny...
Instagram video?
A funny short.
Cool. Yeah, so Carly Simon in Cape Cod. By the way, you were talking about... Now, we've already started to have wildfires out here. Let's now get into the eco-catastrophe that's engulfing the planet. I read another article this week that the Arctic shelf melting faster.
It's 83 degrees in the Arctic shelf.
83 Arctic shelf is going to be a place to vacation pretty soon in the summer.
For the people who can afford it.
Right. All of that goes under that category.
Maybe they'll have Coachella at the Arctic shelf.
Coachella.
They'll move Coachella to the Arctic shelf. They should have music festivals at the Arctic shelf. It's fucking sick, man.
Yeah. But so it's melting faster. Global warming. We get California drought-ridden. I mean, we had rain this winter. I'm not sure where the drought is. I think it's bad. I think even though we had a lot of rain, which is unusual, right?
We had a lot of rain this year.
Right, but but already wildfires.
But
have started, right? Now, what do you? Now, you had a thing about these wildfires.
Well, we had two massive fires. We had one in Ventura County last year, and then 2 or 3 years ago, we had the one that burned up Sepulveda Pass. One of those fires, someone started it.
Yeah.
So it is possible that it's. Yeah, climate breakdown is also happening.
Obviously. Well, they wouldn't have been so destructive if there wasn't such a drought. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's just odd to me that we got all this rain and then we had a fire pop up like that in California. It just feels like, I'm saying it's not outside the realm of possibility. There are people just want to watch shit burn and they start fires or maybe even accidentally start a fire. Who knows?
Well, people want to see things burn down because they're not a part of it. Do you know what I mean? Like all these mass shootings that are going on in our country, all of these terrible mass shootings that happen almost on a daily basis here are from people who don't have, any hope. And people who start fires like that knowing it's going to create a lot of destruction, they're fueled by the death instinct. Freud talked about the death instinct. And, that's our culture is a death instinct. I mean, liking murder podcasts, I don't think is life affirming.
It's a decomposing culture. That's what's happening. It's a decomposing culture.
Decaying culture.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like you could go to the light, or you can go, like the way the Buddhists put it, I believe, is you could go to the sun or you could go to the setting sun. And the setting sun is, I believe I have that right, is the dark, you go to the dark, the destructive instinct. And our culture right now, we're in a death throw, unless we can reverse it, I mean, corporate interests have turned everything and everyone into a commodity. They've turned nature into a commodity. They've turned human beings and animals into commodities. Things are turned into things.
Yeah, but that stuff like shooting people up in public and setting shit on fire, that's something beyond the culture. I think there's some.
It's part of culture. It's not removed from it.
We're
all part. Yeah,
it's connected.
But you think it's an evil that's beyond. You don't think that evil. What I'm hearing you say is you don't think that evil originates from the cult. Like you don't think it springs out of this death culture. I think it does.
I think it's part of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. But I know a lot of people who are troubled, and they're not going and shooting up. I don't know what that is,
right?
Man.
Well,
that's
most
crazy
people aren't.
Fucking shit.
Right. That's a despair that is so intense.
With people, why aren't people pulling together and loving each other?
I think, that's our hope. I think people want to, but there has to be a way to do it, The fact that, we've let corporate oligarchies take over our culture and our legislature, and we're talking way before Trump.
And then we're
talking way before Trump. We're talking,
40 years.
Yeah, since, we've been betrayed by our, corporate overlords, there's talk, it's just a death culture. I mean, these wars, everybody's depicted as our enemy. It's us against them. It's like...
That's got a really good point. That's a really good point. Yeah.
Talk
and
to
there's
that point
kids
a
that are
bit.
growing up with that ingrained in them who are not, the 60s and 70s are an unknown thing. For us, it's something in the rearview mirror.
Right.
But for them, they grew up with, first-person shooter games, and I get it. I get it. There's no culture. I mean, little kids...
The war culture,
But little kids grow up also with nothing but cartoons. So they don't hear... The parents take the kids to shut them up in front of the fucking cartoon. Right. And then they don't have art where they see people engaging with each other. So we grew up with art. People were engaging with each other. And human beings, and the commentary was from human beings. The commentary now is all from animation. I think that's a weird kind of psychological thing. I don't know.
But aren't kids watching YouTube and stuff too? Like,
oh sure,
but
sure,
but I don't know what the social consciousness is.
But if you're a little kid, like my grandson, oh wow, my nephew's 6, and all of the fucking movies are, you take the kid so they'll be quiet for 2 hours. That's why they take the kid.
Hey, Barbara, put on Frozen. Put on Frozen. We don't have time for this shit. We got to shut down. We have to shut up Tommy and Jill. Put on Frozen.
Right, that's it. That's right. But so the youngest children, that's their formative, that's their mind expanding experience.
All right, we have a call that I think it attacks.
Oh, correct.
All right. Yeah, this is the one where Emma, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, this is the call that involves you, and here we go. Oh.
Hey, I just listened to the latest podcast, and first I have to say, Steve, Emma, you guys did a great job holding down the fort. But that being said, I think some of the discussions that came up really kind of solidified the problem we're at in our society. Emma seems like a great person, a fantastic person, but at the same time, she seems to be kind of what's wrong with society. There's neither a past nor a future. It's just the present. I do sound design. That's my thing. I went to Emerson for film school, but I didn't watch any films, or sort of similar to the comedian from a few weeks ago who she didn't know who George Carlin was. You can't learn all of the past history, but you have to have some sort of context. And that's kind of why elected officials keep getting elected that don't care about people or don't acknowledge climate change, is because people don't really care. They're interested in what the featured content on Netflix is. They don't care about a movie from the 70s. Oh, I went to a creative writing course in college not that long ago by today's standards, early 2000s. No one read a book. I was the only person in the classroom besides the teachers actually read a book before. This is what we're dealing with. So on the surface level, it's like, who cares if you've seen a movie from the 70s? But on another level, it's indicative of you probably don't know who the presidents were of the 70s either. So just wondered what you guys think about that. But overall, I think, Emma and Steve did a good job, and I don't want to pick on Emma, but I just think that instead of we always talk about the uninformed voter. If we thought of somebody nice and well-meaning as opposed to somebody that was, an antagonist to society, I think we might be a more compassionate people. So I'm just kind of curious what you guys think about that. Bye.
Emma, do you want to react to that phone call?
Well, part of me, he's not entirely wrong. Uneducated voters is definitely a big deal, and knowing your history is important, but I think he misunderstood what I said when I said I went did go to film school, and I'm not saying I didn't see any movies, but that wasn't my focus. Wasn't to watch movies all the time. My focus was to learn how to make them. And I don't always. I mean, a lot of people when they make movies are like, I'm trying to make it look like so and so, or I'm trying to shoot it in the style of so and so, and I don't love that. I think you should find your own style. And that's why I don't focus so much on old movies instead of like learning the newer.
Are you doing any movie stuff these days?
Yeah, I mean, I do some stuff on the side, kind of. I'm working on a documentary right now. I'm mostly just researching. I'm not making anything just yet. It's a lot of research before you can make, a documentary. But I think to take that comment where I say I went to film school, I mean, that was more of a joke. Like I was the worst film. I can't reference movies the way a lot of people can.
I mean, that was a really nice call, actually. I mean, he was trying to make a broader point.
Yeah, and I think the broader point he's making definitely has some legs. But I think to take my comment that I didn't see a lot of didn't focus on watching a lot of movies when I was in college. Is an example of what's wrong with the state of America and our uneducated voters is a really large jump to make.
It's pretty escalating. By the way, I went to film school.
You did?
And I dropped out and did nothing but watch movies from the 70s. So Emma and I are going to get together.
Yeah, Steve's going to give me an education.
on how to fail at education.
I
have no skills. She has skills. I have none.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I think one way to do it is you go direct by director to watch movies, like you watch Fellini. Like just rent 5 Fellini films, and then you watch. Let's see, he's Italian, so then you go to like a great German director, or like Herzog, or Werner Herzog stuff.
My dad worked for Blockbuster in the 80s when at part time.
Brag!
I know. I have to keep up with you, Eddie. Bragging. My dad worked part-time at Blockbuster because his full-time job wasn't enough to support a Jewish wife. And he would bring home all of these movies, all of these incredible, and a lot of them I was a little kid. I couldn't watch
Mr.
The Godfather.
Limpet. Yeah.
I couldn't watch Apocalypse Now at 10, which your father probably did show you at 10, but my father, no. But he brought home a book, and it was like the 100 greatest movies of all time. And I remember going into that book and being like captivated at the movie stars, and then I would highlight. That's how I got into. Yeah, and it was Serpico and all these movies are in there.
Serpico was a great movie.
It was like a little pocket reference thing, and so I would go through and.
Well, it depends on what you're in film for,
Yeah, I obviously went to film school because I enjoyed film. It's not like I had never seen anything, and it's not like I've never seen anything. I've seen plenty. I just don't I don't have the skill that a lot of people have where they watch a movie and they can reference it. They can tell you who was in it, who directed it, who did the score, who did that. My brain just doesn't work that way. I watch a movie and I either like it speaks to me, or I don't, and I remember that. But I can't then the next day be like, oh, I watched this movie last night directed by so-and-so, and then this person. That's not how my brain works.
What I find absurd about movies, Emma, is how much they fucking cost to make.
I'm telling you.
Are they ridiculously expensive?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the equipment's very expensive. The people who use the equipment, their time is very expensive because they're usually very well trained, and they've gotten a certain type of education or certification or training, and so their time is valuable. And there's a lot. Sometimes I watch movies and you watch the credits at the end, and the list of names that the people involved in making that movie is so long. It blows my mind.
It's a 10-minute credit sequence, like a Marvel movie.
Well, what about, Emma, with all the new technology? Is it possible now with all this new technology that we carry in our hands to make movies on the cheap?
Yeah, I think it kind of goes both ways. Like, you can definitely make a decent looking movie for fairly much cheaper than you used to be able to, because technology is far more accessible. But at the same time, with the increased technology in our pocket, that high quality technology that film studios use is also increasing and getting better and more expensive. So you could make a movie on your iPhone and you probably would look pretty good. But it will not compare to something like, the Marvel movies or something like that have all of this money to get these really high quality cameras and stuff.
Right. But, this, not to get into the whole film thing too much, because that call, it was a good call, is about not having a sense of history, right? That we tend to be in the present and not have a
but
context.
That's part of it's.
No, I mean, but he related it to the political spectrum.
I think being in the present is good sometimes.
No, obviously you have to be in the present. But it is good to know history. Like, 100%. For instance, I was reading last night, not to brag about World War I. It's a book called Psalm, and just, one thing that I am amazed of, and you have to read history to know this, is that the brutality of human beings to human beings historically has been insane. It's insane.
Oh, absolutely.
The amount of slaughter that happened in World War I, and then just 20 years later or 25 years later in World War II, millions and millions and millions of people slaughtered. And it's just unbelievable. And the cruelty and the way they're slaughtered, the genocide, it's just unreal.
Yeah, you absolutely have to study your history. It's like that old adage,
So you agree with that? Yeah.
Yeah, those who don't know their history are doomed to repeat it. You have to learn from the past so that you don't make the same mistakes in the future. 100%. And my dad is a huge history buff.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, he loves history, and that was a big thing in my house growing up. He was constantly teaching us the history of things, and I appreciated it. I have a music history minor, not that I use it for anything, but I have one because I was fascinated by it.
Right.
So I definitely think knowing your history is important. I think a lot of times, though, the history books that we teach in our public schools are not...
Oh, well, yeah.
They're not really the greatest version of history. They're not teaching the whole thing.
Right.
They're teaching the parts they prefer to highlight. But
Okay, children, open up your Howard Zinn, The People's History of the United States. They're not getting that.
No.
Yeah, Noam Chomsky.
I remember the shit I had to read.
They were teaching Noam Chomsky in the 70s and early 80s. They were teaching the manufacturing consent. There was a time when they were teaching that in public schools.
Huh?
Totally gone. Which, by the way, manufacturing consent, the upper middle class, which I guess is sort of gone, isn't it? Is there still an upper middle class? It's changed. It's changed.
Yeah.
There's
a lot less people in that category.
Very affluent group of people who, I'll just summarize this for you. Very affluent group of people who the establishment need permission from in order to carry out the shit they want to do. So, for instance, it would be something like a modern day thing like this. We want to fuck the poor and pimp the war. So we need permission from the ruling class. So what are we going to give them? We're going to give them transgender bathrooms to make them feel like they're fucking heroic and morally boutique liberal shit. So that would be but they taught that in public school in the 70s and 80s. Now
you should bring that back.
Not when I was a kid.
No, I didn't have that. No, not at all. And that's one of the things I feel like it's important to study your history, take your history courses, learn that stuff, but also continue to ask questions and keep looking, because they're not going to teach you the inner workings of things and the way that they do stuff, like you were just saying, Steve. They're not going to teach you that in class, but you can find it if you want to look for it.
Well, you have to be steered in the right direction at a young age. I luckily was steered in the right direction by my dad, who was a union leader for the teachers in New York City with Albert Shanker. Woody Allen has a great line in Sleeper, the movie Sleeper, one of his first movies, where he said, it takes place in the future, and they talk about how the civilization got fucked up, and it was like, well, Albert Shanker got a hold of a nuclear weapon, the head of the teachers union. It was really funny. But another thing I've learned from history too, reading the people that I've read throughout my life, is that unions and the fight for gains has been a bloody one in this country. The unionization of people, of different industries, whether it was coal or automobiles. Bloody. The ruling class doesn't want to give this stuff up without a fight, But we have one more call. Let's listen to that one. Thank you, Emma.
Yeah.
We have a call. We have a call, folks, and I'm having technical problems here. Here we go. You know, this thing, I got to get Emma to look at this later. Here we go.
Hey, Eddie, my name is Will. I'm from West Virginia, and I do large scale. I'm an artist, and I paint large scale abstract paintings. And I get a really creative feeling when I watch you. It gets all my creative juices going with my painting and my art. Makes me think of new stuff. And I just wonder if anybody's ever told you that, from a visual artist, has ever told you that you, inspire them or make them feel very creative. Anyway, I think it's an interesting question. My name is Will, West Virginia. Thanks, bye.
Thank you, Will from West Virginia. Yeah, a couple of people have gotten into, like, painting me and stuff like that, but I never had it told to me that directly, you know, so that's a really cool call, you know, for me, and that I kind of stir up the creative juices of visual artists. I hope so. Not that much here in Hollywood. Well, there's a few people.
In West Virginia, they're painting like fucking murals and shit.
He does. Oh, maybe I'll contact you, Will. Maybe you could do something for me, like a large installation I could put up outside my apartment building of me. Or maybe a play. I decide to do a one-man show. Will could be the artist. But thank you for that call. And we have one more ad to read, and then we got a vamoose. We've had a good show. Here it is. There are plenty of monthly subscription box services available today, but for $40 a month, only Schrodinger's box brings a truly random assortment of items directly to your door. James Vanderplops from Spoon, Indiana says, my first Schrodinger's box had a block of artisanal cheese, a single sandal, a large quartz crystal, and a dead cat. Admittedly, I was less excited about the cheese when I saw the dead cat. Explore the wonder of quantum possibilities each month as a box is filled with random items from a dark warehouse somewhere north of Nevada's Groom Lake near famed tourist trap Area 51. Some say it's a way for the government to get rid of surplus garbage, and others say, yeah, but which government? Sandy Ocelot of Litterbox, Oregon says, as soon as I opened the box, a cat jumped out. Also got a scratcher's ticket, a small carton of milk, and the ever-screaming decapitated head of German Emperor Kaiser Wilhelm I. Danny Blumpgums of Hole, Kansas says, the box opened itself and what looked like one of them Cinnabites from 1987's Hellraiser emerged from within. In one hand it held a puzzle box, in the other a kitten. The next 72 hours was a tour of sexual gratification through inhumane torrents of pain. Not the worst thing I've had delivered. Schrodinger's box is fun for the whole family, and that's from Schrodinger. That's a new sponsor, Schrodinger's box, and they're great, and it's true randomness.
What was in your box?
I didn't get one yet, you know, and they haven't paid yet. So, well, that's another show in the can, and if you would like to eat from that can, you should press like, subscribe, comment, and or review. There are tons of media platforms from which you can gorge on our word meats. Let them know that you got a hankering for our mouth flavors. Liz from Minneapolis, let it be known that every show is funny. Every show has something special. I always feel like I'm in good company when I listen. There you have it. This podcast is a real gem. Mike Bobbitt, superstar, told America, Eddie is a brilliant comedian who masterfully lives in the present and doesn't just entertain audiences. He takes them on an emotional journey. His podcast is more than just an extension of his act. He educates. He speaks about the human experience, whether it be self-help or socio-political help. I feel better listening to it and carry parts of the show with me through the week. He's the realest voice of self-help. 1 second he's soothing your soul, the next second he's screaming at your mind. Everything is going to be okay, but will it? Yeah, maybe. Who knows? What's the alternative? Not trying, complacency. I love the guy and everything he does. Be like good old Liz and Mike. Tell someone about this podcast today. You could leave a message for us at 424-262-0904. Our email is fanmail@peptalkspodcast.com. Visit peptalkspodcast.com.
Hit the donate button.
Hit the donate button. I don't know why that's not written here. Engineers, maybe because Matt isn't seeing any of this bread. Engineers Emma Erdbrink and Aaron Brungardt. Emma's here today, and the producers Matt Rasamoto.
Do you have anything to
plug?
Yeah.
Let's see. I'm going to be headlining the Altercation Comedy Festival in Austin, September 26th. Great comedy festival. Run by my buddy JT Habersat, who was on my podcast when I was at the Moon Tower Festival. That's my latest. How about you? You have anything? I'm at the Comedy Store in the Hollywood Improv here in LA. If you're ever in town, I'm there about 3-4 times a week.
Venice. Santa Monica. If you're in Santa Monica, June 16th, I'll be at the Santa Monica Comedy Underground, which is a new show, 8 p.m., 22nd and 23rd, Los Angeles Stand-Up Comedy Festival of June, and in Barnsdall Park. And in September 12th through 14th, St. Petersburg, Florida, I'll be coming. So if you're in the Bay Area of Florida, and there's more dates to come. So,
all right.
Yep.
Great. We should have done that up top, goddammit. We always forget to do that shit. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching on YouTube and listening on SoundCloud. This has been Pep Talks. We are now signing off. Don't be isolated.